In a shocking twist, maybe the most athletic player in the NBA just hit free agency. That player is Keon Johnson, a first-round pick back in 2021. He's also the guy who still owns the NBA draft combined record for the highest vertical jump ever, a ridiculous 48 inches. Yes, 48 inches, and no one has topped it. What makes this even crazier is he's coming off the best season of his short career, putting up around 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game with the Brooklyn Nets last year. And the guy didn't just put up empty stats, he proved it directly against the Lakers. On March 10th, Johnson went off for 18 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and hit 3 of 4 from deep, shooting 6 of 10 overall, and handed the Lakers a 3-point loss. Earlier in the season, on January 17th, he still managed 13 points and 2 boards in their other matchup. Against the Lakers in that January game, Johnson added steals too, shooting 5 of 11 from the field in a tight 1-point loss. Both times he faced them, he played solid on offense and defense, which may have actually made the Lakers notice him. After such a strong season, most people expected the Nets to hold on to him and make him part of their rebuild, especially since that team has no real direction right now. But nope, that's not happening. Instead, he's on the open market as a free agent, free to sign wherever he wants. The real issue is that there are barely any roster spots left in the league. On top of that, he can't even get a 2-way contract. Honestly, he's probably kicking himself for playing just 5 games in the 2023-24 season, because if he hadn't, he'd still qualify for one. If you don't know the 2-way contract rules, a player can't get one if they've already played 4 or more NBA seasons. Sadly for him, this past year counted as his 4th. Still, there's way too much potential here to just ignore. At the very least, a training camp deal makes sense, and honestly, that might be the only option left for him. With roster spots basically gone, 2-way slots filled up, and him not eligible, it wouldn't be surprising if he gets pushed into that route. The Lakers already have a full camp roster, but they could easily cut an Exhibit-10 player and swap him in. Let's be real, most Exhibit-10 contracts are just to load up the G League team, and most of the guys they've signed, RJ Davis, Agilis Tublis, Arthur Kalama, maybe even Eric Dixon, fit that mold. And even though the Lakers do still have one 2-way spot open, they're probably battling over it with other prospects. Most of those Exhibit-10 guys will just get waived and sent to the G League anyway, with a little guaranteed money if they stick around there. But honestly, I'd seriously think about cutting one of them to make room for Keon Johnson. If we're comparing Keon to any of those Exhibit-10 contracts, there's no debate. He's a former first-round pick coming off a solid NBA season, while most of those players either never touched the NBA or did nothing when they got the chance. Keon actually produced. With the Nets last year, at just 22 years old, he averaged over 10 points a night and proved himself with strong defensive stretches and constant hustle plays. He showed clear upside in those areas. Sure, there are flaws. His shooting was rough at just 39% from the field, and he only shot 31.4% from 3, which obviously isn't great but could improve with the right team. In the G League, his numbers were much stronger, around 37% from deep on 5 attempts a game while averaging 18 points. That shows he can shoot better than what he showed in the NBA. On top of that, he's a strong rebounder, pulling down 6.1 boards in the G League and about 4 per game with the Nets in just 24 minutes. That translates to nearly 6 per 36 minutes, which is solid for a guard. So yes, there's real upside with Keon Johnson, scoring flashes, finishing above the rim with insane athleticism, and turning that into defense. He has the tools to become a tough point-of-attack defender. Think of someone like Chris Dunn, for example. Of course, he's not at that level yet, but maybe with time he could get there. Chris Dunn needed over half a decade to finally find his defensive role in the NBA, even falling out of the league before coming back. So why not think the same with Keon Johnson? He's only 22, just as athletic, maybe even more than Dunn, and could be molded into that kind of player, or maybe even better. Johnson is the kind of raw athlete that, with the right coaching staff and the right system, could absolutely become a high-level defender while adding offense along the way. Honestly, I wouldn't put it past him at all because there's real upside here. Compared to Dunn, Johnson is simply the superior athlete, which is saying a lot. The tools are there, and it's all about who's willing to give him the chance to reach that ceiling. Looking back at last season's defense, the numbers might not tell the full story since he was stuck on a bad team that can Sure, the numbers might look a little skewed on paper, but if you actually watch the film, Keon Johnson clearly stood out in stretches. Whether it was a chase-down block, crashing the glass, or jumping passing lanes, he made things happen. He was also a surprisingly strong rebounding guard and one of the few Nets who consistently played real, committed defense. Stat-wise, he averaged 1.8 deflections in just 24 minutes per game, That's nearly 3 per 36 minutes. He also grabbed 1 steal a game in that same role, which translates to 1.5 per 36. That's legit defensive playmaking, not empty numbers. The reality is he was one of the only guys on that roster bringing real defensive effort, and if anything, that should have been valued way more than it was. With Johnson, you're looking at a guard who could easily grow into a defensive difference maker if any team has the guts to give him a chance. Johnson is quick enough to jump passing lanes, strong enough to guard point guards, shooting guards, and even some small forwards, and athletic enough to stay in front of anyone on the court. He also has the mindset to play that role, which is rare. Now, I'm not trying to overhype him. There's a reason he's bounced around. Drafted by the Portland Trail Blazers, traded to the LA Clippers, then to the Brooklyn Nets, and now waived. But honestly, I don't think the Nets should have cut him. That move feels more about saving money and trimming salary than about his talent. They dumped his guaranteed deal just to clean up their payroll. Still, Johnson does need to polish parts of his game, especially his shooting. A more reliable three-point shot and a steadier offensive skill set in general would raise his ceiling and probably stop teams from overlooking him. He still needs to learn the game better on both ends, especially with team concepts. The individual talent is there, no question, but the basketball IQ has to keep growing. He needs to figure out the timing on offense, when to cut, when to move, when to stay put, and really learn how to fit into a system. Same thing defensively, knowing when to rotate, when to help, and when to stay home. That's the part of the game he hasn't fully mastered yet. But again, he's just 22 years old and has really only had one true NBA season of playing time. There's still a ton of room for growth. The problem is, he's not eligible for a two-way contract, which hurts him badly. Crazy enough, he's actually younger than guys like Dalton Connect, yet unlike Connect, he can't even get that two-way fallback option. He's not two-way eligible, even though Dalton Connect is entering just his second NBA season. Weird situation, but that's the odd spot Keon Johnson is in right now. Most likely, it means he'll end up taking a training camp deal. For a team like the Lakers, that could actually be a great move. Right now, they've got guys like RJ Davis, Augustus Marcelionis, Arthur Kaluma, and Eric Dixon signed. Sure, I like all of them, and maybe one of them grabs that last two-way spot, but if you have the chance to bring in Keon Johnson on an Exhibit 10, you have to take it. The Lakers keep talking about wanting to get younger and more athletic, which you can see with them drafting Bronny James and signing Jake LaRavia, both solid athletes. But let's be real, you're not going to find a better athlete than Keon Johnson, especially one with actual NBA experience and the pedigree of being a former first-round pick. He's a former first-round pick with a lot of untapped upside. If you can lock him into a training camp deal, let him run with the G League for a while, and later slide him into a non-guaranteed roster spot, that's an easy move to make. Even on just an Exhibit 10, you'd get the chance to fully evaluate him in camp, bring real competition, then stash him in the G League for a few months before deciding. If he pans out, you get him for basically nothing guaranteed. That's a bargain. We're talking about a 22-year-old freak athlete, first-round pick who would instantly boost the team's athleticism in the backcourt. He could also give Bronny James and Dalton Connect some legit competition, which only makes the team sharper. Honestly, if Johnson is willing to take an Exhibit 10, it feels like a no-brainer for the Lakers to grab him. Passing on that kind of low-risk, high-reward chance would be pretty foolish. With the upside, the competition he'd bring, and what he's already shown in the NBA, especially on defense, I think this would be a smart move for the Lakers, maybe even in the long run. But that's just my take. What about you? Did you know much about Keon Johnson before this? Would you sign him to an Exhibit 10 deal? Do you think there's real untapped potential here, or would you pass? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd like to hear how you'd handle it. Anyway, that about wraps this one up. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next upload. Thanks for watching and have a good day or night wherever you are.